Alright, I'm going to show you how to make cordage out of stinging nettle. So this is the stinging nettle plant. It stings. It burns. It has histamine in it, and serotonin, and all kinds of other weird shit. And yeah, it feels like a bee sting or like hot ant bites or something. So it's got all these little hairs on it. I don't know if you can see on the stems and bottom of the leaves. I can't get those into focus, but those things, little hairs, are like hypodermic needles that when you brush up against them, it stings you. So to avoid that, I'll cut one off here so I can show you. To avoid that, all you have to do is not be a pussy. Just don't lightly touch it. If you touch it lightly, those needles will go into your skin and you get injected and it hurts. But if you just manhandle the thing, you end up just crushing the little hairs and it doesn't burn you. So what we're going to do is from the bottom, just give it one swipe. Just one good quick. Let's see if I can't hold the camera and do this. Okay, so we got our stinging nettle here. The underside of it is where the hairs are. So we want to go from the bottom up and just give it one clean pull like that. And wait a minute, see if you feel any sting. Now your finger skin is pretty strong, so if you're gonna feel a sting, it's probably gonna be on the back of your hand, but that didn't get me at all. So just clean it up here, and then from the bottom, just crush it with your fingers like that, and you want to separate those fibers, the outer skin from the inner pith. And once you get a couple of these going, you get a nice wad of fibers. I'll show you the next step. So I'm going to do a couple more of these and then show you how to make the string. Alright, so these are the fibers. What you got to do to get started is twist some of them up. There. Okay, now fold it in half and make one end slightly shorter than the other. And I'll show you why we do that here in a second. Okay? Now, this is how you make double twisted cord. You spin this fiber away from you, or if you go towards you, it's vice versa. So I spin away from me and then twist. And then now you're on the other one. So spin away from you and then twist. Alright? So it takes a minute to get it started. So again, away, towards you. Away, towards you. And just keep doing that. Away, towards you. Away, towards you. Make sure these stay nice and tightly spun, because what that does, as you can see now, the twists lock against themselves, and that's how the string becomes really strong that way, because when you're pulling down the line, you're not putting direct tension from one end of the line to the other. All these twists want to end up tightening and locking against themselves. And I think it's something like for every twist that you do, so if I were to take this cordage and another one and twist them together, every time you do that, you multiply the strength times 8. So I don't know how that works out mathematically, but you can end up with some pretty darn strong cordage by taking your time doing this and then double weaving them. Okay, so now the next part, you run out of thread, right? You run out of fiber. You can see this is why we leave one longer and one shorter, because we need to splice on more material, and we don't want both splices to be at the same point on the rope. It'll make it weaker. So take one more fiber and just lay it next to your shorter one and twist that in and get that going. And I like to take a couple twists here Just really make sure that, you know, I'm going to do one on this one too. It's okay to have, when you do that splicing, it's okay to have them close to each other, but you just don't want both ends right attached at the same point. Do one, take it a couple courses, throw a couple twists in it, then put the other one on. So that way you don't have them right next to each other. It's not that big a deal. I just like the psychological edge it gives me to know that my cord is really strong. Alright, I'm going to finish this twist and then show you what I've got so far. This method can be done with a lot of different plant fibers. Willow is a really good one. Bark strip's really easy. Hemp, of course. Trying to think. Elm works good. Grapevine. There's just tons of yucca. There's tons of options. So if you're ever out in the bush and you need some string, you need a belt, need a shoelace, whatever, there's just no excuse. There are fibers everywhere that you can use any time of year too. Some trees you can only strip the bark off in the spring easily. Okay, so that's our cord there. I don't know if you can see that real well. And all these little pieces sticking off here, when this dries out, you can very easily just hit it with a lighter and burn those off. But that's it. That's how you make cord.